Dental Fuel, the podcast that focuses on what no one else is talking about: mistakes. The dental world is full of before and afters, and no one is talking about the middle. Dental Fuel brings you the unspoken in between. Dental Fuel is brought to you by Doctors Disability Specialists, a team dedicated to helping dentists and physicians with disability insurance, life insurance, and comprehensive business planning. In this episode, we have Dr. Emma Guzman-Vizcarrondo. Dr. Guzman is a general and cosmetic dentist practicing in New York City. She completed her Doctor of Dental Surgery degree at the University of Buffalo School of Dental Medicine and was a general practice resident at Bronx Care in the Bronx, New York. Dr. Guzman currently practices in Brooklyn, and her main focus is changing her clients' life by improving their smiles and ultimately their health. In this episode, Dr. Guzman talks about leading a team and the challenges that come with doing that. So Emma, I know that you're at 10 now, and you said you're a senior associate. Is that correct?
Yes.
Very cool. And you are managing a large team, is what it sounds like.
Yes.
Building a team is huge and really crucial to the success of everyone's daily work. What mistakes have you encountered when building up this team? And what pearls would you give to our listeners to help overcome different struggles or mistakes or, anything that you've encountered that you've had difficulty with your team?
Okay. I would say do not let things linger. When there's an issue that needs to be addressed, address it immediately. And I would say that has been my biggest difficulty. Whereas I want to make sure I get all the facts, and I'm researching and I'm talking to multiple people. And then by the time I go to address the situation, it's either irrelevant because it happened 3 weeks ago. And then now it sounds ridiculous to bring it up now because people don't even remember what I'm talking about. Or it's it has become so much bigger than it was, right? Because especially when you have a big team, you work with a lot of people, what ends up happening is a telephone game, right? Dr. Guzman said this, and then by the time it goes to the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th person, it comes back, Dr. Guzman's trying to get me fired. Wait, what? I just asked why I didn't come in today. You know what I mean? So I would say 100% my biggest pearl is don't let things linger. Because I don't like conflict. I don't like conflict. I tend to avoid it. And that is one of the biggest things that you have to deal with when you're managing a team. There's so many people, there's so many personalities. There's so many ways that people could perceive things. There's a lot of emotions involved. Dentistry is high stress. Dentistry is very high stress, and it's not a comfortable environment to work in if people are not getting along, right? So it's super important to nip things in the bud and very quickly handle the situation. And knowing your team, knowing the personalities of the people in your team, knowing when is the right time, because maybe you have to give people 5 minutes or even an hour, right, before you address it. But do not make the mistake that I made before and, you address it 3 weeks later and people are like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm not upset about that. And I'm like, but I know you were upset 3 weeks ago. And they're just like, okay, I'm not even thinking about it anymore.
I hate confrontation. It is very difficult. Yeah, difficult for me to manage. I avoid it. Ugh, it just gives me the ick, I guess that's the best way to say it.
Yeah.
But it's so important, especially in a leadership role as a lead dentist or, even if you're an associate dentist, to learn to help manage a team and to have those tough conversations. I think that it helps you build yourself up more as a dentist, but also as a leader in front of your team.
Mm-hmm.
Emma, have you felt as a new dentist that people have been receptive to your leadership?
I would say yes, because of my demanding personality. And how at times, I could be bold, I say it how it is, I project my voice, I command the room, right? And I say because of that, they respect it. Because I have seen, with other associates who, may be a little bit quieter or, not as bold in the way they speak, that they're trying to like, oh yeah, the other doctor. And I'm like, no, that's Dr. So-and-so. Let's show some respect. At times, addressing the doctors by their first names. Absolutely not. So I think that I demand and command that respect. So it's never really been an issue for me in terms of people receiving that. And I think because of that, I also, when it comes to the confrontation aspect, I try to manage how I'm perceived, because I'm like, I also don't want to be too aggressive, right? I want to make sure that it's being received well so that they can learn and grow from it.
For dentists who struggle with that, what advice would you provide to them?
Ooh.
How can they make their presence be known?
Yeah. One, I would say it starts in the chair, right? It starts in what we do, right? If you have confidence in your work, you're doing great dentistry, your team is going to see that and respect that, right? You have to lead by example. You can't tell the team to be there 15 minutes early when you show up 15 minutes late, right? There's certain things, if there's, practices that you're setting in the office, you have to lead by example. Because the one thing that you don't want to be is a hypocrite, right? You don't want to say, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that, but you're not doing it yourself. So that's the first thing, right? You have to lead by example. Let your dentistry prove who you are as the lead dentist, right? Prove who you are as a member of that team, right? Give your team members, like, you have to allow them to buy in, right? Give them, a stake. Give them a stake in the office, right? Like, oh, you want to learn how to do this? Let's get a rep in to teach you, right? You're interested in that? How you like technology? Let's see how you could help manage the office page, right? You have to have the team buy in, right, to what you're doing and what you stand for. And then you'll be able to command the room, right, after the fact. Where it says, like, all right, Dr. Guzman is speaking, so everyone,
we're going to listen.
Let's pay attention, right? But it starts with the dentistry, and you have to lead by example, and your team has to buy in.
Join us on our next episode where Dr. Guzman shares some advice for our listeners. Be sure to connect with Dr. Guzman on Instagram @_Dr.Emma and with Ignite DDS @IgniteDDS.